I have been stacking since before the Hunts brothers. In the past decade, I can show you piles of Chinese counterfeits. I have shared info with recent stackers where I totally exposed that up to 85% of their savings were great counterfeits. It was, or it has been, so sad to see a collector realize that almost everything is worthless. Please be careful. I have professional coin dealers being fooled at a very slight margin, but nevertheless, they are still being fooled. This comment left by a viewer of mine is a stark reminder of how important it is to make sure that when you are getting your silver, you are getting it from a reputable source that you can trust. Whether it's a huge reputable online dealer like our sponsor SD Bullion or at your local coin shop, make sure when you go and buy your silver that you're buying it from somewhere that you can trust, because there are absolutely counterfeits out there, and this does include the occasional, very rare, but the occasional fake coin that gets sold even out of a coin shop. It happens at a much smaller margin, just like this commenter said, but the fact of the matter remains that it still happens. So it's very, very important that you make sure your silver is real. My channel is sponsored by SDBullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to SDBullion.com/new. All right, so that first comment we just read actually came on my eye-opening True Silver Rounds vs. Silver Eagles video. Now, that video wasn't about counterfeit coins at all, but I do appreciate the comment from Bo Peters, and I really hope that you are exaggerating with that 85% of their savings. Man, that would be a nightmare for anybody. So anyway, today's video is going to be a comment video, and before we get into our next comment, I just want to let you know that I got a couple of comments on the last one saying that they felt I was being condescending. And that is certainly not my intent, and I do not feel that I am more knowledgeable or better than anyone else that is watching my videos right now. I'm just the guy on the other side of the computer screen giving you my opinions. I am not an expert. I am not a financial expert. This is just what I think. So let's get into our second comment. This one comes from Jim Houston. We're only going to read the first part of the comment because that's what I want to respond to. And it says, it would be cool and easy and helpful to stop with the times face and just do the math and say what the price is over spot. Now, the reason I disagree with that is because whenever maybe it's just because that's something I've done for decades, but whenever I'm looking at prices for 90%, I always look at that times face because, for example, if 90% is going for 20 times face, then I know a dime is $2, a quarter is $5, a half dollar is 10. It's pretty simple. Just remember that if you take 0.715, which is the industry standard accepted amount of silver per dollar face value based on a little bit of wear, now we're not talking about the super slick, half gone coins. We're talking about average circulation. Anyway, if you take that 0.715 and multiply it by 1.4, you come up with 1.001. That means there is 1 ounce of silver for every $1.40 face value of 90%. That's all you really need to know, and at that point, it becomes very, very simple. All right, so next up, this one is from Silverstacker 1985. I had to put this on the screen. I did blank out the city, but if you want to see what city it's in, his comment's still on the video. This is from my Wait How Much video where I called around and asked how much shops were selling their 90% for, or I'm sorry, buying their 90% for. And in this one, he says, Coin store in blank, California offered me 12 times face for 50 face value of silver quarters. 12 times face. That is so far back of melt. It is abysmal. He even had a person respond and say he's just trying to rip you off. That is 100% accurate. Now, again, I'm not going to put the name of that or the name of the city here because there may only be one shop in the city and we don't disparage coin shops in the video. But if you do want to see it, feel free to go look for his comment. It is still on the channel. But Silverstacker, I would never walk back into that coin shop ever. Just let it go. Just never go back. They don't deserve your business. All right, so this next comment comes from Bud Scott, and this was on my Who Will Buy It video. I did this video with Keith from the Coin Crew, and our discussion was about what would happen if through normal market trading, not through the dollar crashing, but through normal market trading, silver got to $100 an ounce or more. Now, the reason that's important to make that distinction is that if silver gets to $100 an hour because the dollar crashes, silver's not really worth more in goods and services. It's just that the dollar is worth so much less that it now takes 100 of them to get an ounce of silver. But if silver got to $100 an ounce or more through normal trading, I could theoretically see, this is in fact, I don't have a crystal ball, but I could theoretically see a situation where there are more sellers than buyers. And if there's more sellers than buyers, then coin shops may start running out of cash unless they ship it off to bigger buyers like the big online dealers or wholesalers, whatever it may be, at less than spot. who's going to buy it? You might actually run into a situation where maybe the shop will buy your silver when silver's trading for $100 an ounce, but they can only pay you 90, which is back of spot. So Bud's coin shop actually says that he will buy silver no matter what the price is. And that may be true until he runs out of money. I mean, you can't buy something with money you don't have. And I know coin shops, they have to have a lot of capital to be able to be in this business. But if silver were to hit $100 an ounce, there's a lot of silver out there. And I could see definitely that situation possibly happening. Again, I don't know. It's just in theory. But, a coin shop can say he'll buy it all he wants. But as soon as he runs out of cash, he's not going to buy it anymore. All right, our next comment comes from T-Rex Stacker, and this one will be really quick. It's 7 minutes ago is what's on there. I highlighted that for a reason. He says, why are all the comments you choose to do only a few hours old at the most? They're actually not. When I see the comment that I think would be good for a comment video, I take a screenshot of it then. Your comment, for example, had been in my books for a couple of days before I finally did this video. But when I took the snapshot, it was only 7 minutes old. For example, look at Bud's. I took the snapshot 1 minute after I responded to it. But this comment's a few days old now, if not more. All right, so this next comment is a very thought-provoking one, and this comes from the video where I did about Silver Eagle premiums and why they are as high as they are. And in that video, I talked about how the U.S. Mint is not producing enough Silver Eagles, at least, based on my research. Silver J799 gives us an alternate possible scenario, if you will. I don't necessarily think it's accurate, but I could be wrong. I'm not saying for sure it's wrong. I don't know. But I think the more likely scenario is what I'm about to tell you. But let's get into his comment first. He says, I did mention this a couple of months ago. I think they're only buying at spot +9 to keep the prices up. Now, what he's referring to is APMEX, for example, which is an authorized purchaser from the U.S. Mint, can buy Silver Eagles from the U.S. Mint for $2.35 over spot. Yet, they are paying dealers $9 an ounce over spot to get those same Silver Eagles. So anyway, he says, I think they're only buying at spot +9 to keep the prices up. Someone is pocketing all the extra PM. Profit margin, by the way, is what PM stands for. I assume Provident, JM, and APMEX are ripping everyone off and keeping the prices inflated because they can. Reminds me of new car dealerships. You were right. Don't waste money on AFCs, blah, blah, blah. Hot-headed Joel, haha, says, you hit the nail on the head. If Eagle premiums would come down, all generic prices would come down. They basically control the entire market through the price of Eagles. No one will bring this up. Now, the reason I think this may not be true, and again, I'm not saying I know for a fact, I'm not an expert here, and I certainly am not a fly on the wall, in the offices of APMEX and whatever. But I think the reason this is not accurate is because there are examples of, for example, other sovereign bullion, like Britannias, elephants, things like that, Cougarans, that you can get right now for, just $4. I've seen deals as low as $4, $2.99 over spot. I saw a deal on Britannias just a couple of weeks ago. Why would they keep Silver Eagle so high if other sovereign bullion is that low? I think the true reason is the U.S. Mint just really is not producing enough Silver Eagles. Now, again, I'm not a fly on the wall there. I don't know all the workings behind the scenes there, but it just doesn't make sense that they would keep it at high. Because think about this. If they're paying +9, but they could get them from $2.35 from the U.S. Mint, they could literally drop the price of Eagles $7 an ounce and still sell more of them with the same profit margin, and they'd sell more. They'd sell way more if the premium was that much lower. And they could do so keeping that same profit margin, buying for $2.35 from the Mint versus $9 from dealers. So it just doesn't make sense to me. Hot-headed Joe's comment would make more sense if you haven't seen massive discounts and deals on some of that sovereign bullion, like I said. But I think, again, I don't know for sure, but I think more likely than not, it really just is the Mint not producing enough to keep up with demand. All right, this next comment comes from Lori Foster, and she says, this is a quick one, says, did I misunderstand you? This was on that same video about the truth behind Silver Eagle premiums. Did I misunderstand you? I went to the U.S. Mint website, and they want $76 each for a 2023 ASC. I just want to point out for you guys that don't know this, the ones that the Mint sells direct to the public are special releases like the Burnished W and the Proofs. They do not sell bullion Silver Eagles to the public. They only sell it to 10 authorized dealers in the US, 2 in Europe, and 1 in the Middle East. All right, this next comment comes from Ronald Smith. He says, don't the people own the Mint? Sell to us directly at 5 over and the Mint makes more. Why are the profits going to corporations? And then he also says, sell directly to the public or Serio stuffing their pockets, and those are U.S. Mint decision makers. All right, 2 things here. One, believe it or not, the U.S. Mint is on a profit cost basis. They do not use taxpayer money. That's true. No taxpayer money is used for the Mint. They are required to make enough profit to cover all of their bills. Now, the reason they don't sell to people directly is because could you imagine if they had to deal with all as many bullion silver eagles as they sell in a normal year, obviously, not 2013 where they just aren't producing enough, but in a normal year where they're producing millions of silver eagles, they don't want to hire the amount of people they need to cover the logistics of, shipping all of that out. So they actually outsource it. This is very common with wholesale distributors. They produce a bunch of the product and then they depend on other companies to distribute it for them. And basically, you can look at those authorized purchasers as a middleman. But yeah, that's why the U.S. Mint doesn't do it. It may even end up hurting them instead of helping them, depending on how many people they have to buy. And imagine all those people that are on staff to ship product and they don't have silver eagles to sell right now, because they're sold out. So that's why they don't do it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying that's why. Okay, so our final comment is actually an exchange between two commenters, and I just kind of want to chime in and tell you what I think. But keep in mind, I'm not a legal expert by any means, so I could be wrong, and I would love to hear your comments down below. Tell me what you think. But Phil Schiavone, he says, the law is the problem. And of course, he's talking about the shortage in U.S. silver eagles, the mint not producing enough. He says, the law is a problem. How can they cover demand if they have to buy the planchets for less than market price? Don says the mint is allowed to pay market rate for silver. A lot of bad info got spread around. Phil Schiavone goes on to quote U.S. Code 31 U.S. Code 5116 B2. He says it states, in part, the secretary shall not pay more than the average world price for silver under any circumstances. If private mints are paying over spot, in many cases, how can the U.S. Mint procure enough planchets? So Don counters again with, it is the market rate. Spot price is not mentioned. They actually say the market price in the law, and your copy even says average world price. So let's go ahead and look at the law. And of course, we are looking at U.S. 31 U.S. Code 5116 B2. And I highlighted in yellow the relevant part to what we're talking about here. We'll go ahead and read that. It says, if it is not economically feasible to obtain such silver, the secretary may obtain silver for coins authorized under Section 5112E from other available sources. The secretary shall not pay more than the average world price for silver under any circumstances. As used in this paragraph, the term average world price, it puts it in quotes, means the price determined by a widely recognized commodity exchange at the time the silver is obtained by the secretary. So according to the law, in my opinion, how I read this, and again, I'm not a legal expert, it says that they have to obtain silver at the average world price based on recognized commodity exchanges, not recognized on the average market price that you're seeing, from different bullion distributors, if you will. They basically have to go off the COMEX or the Hong Kong Exchange, whatever it may be. That's how I determine it, but I would love to know what you think. So let me know. We're not going to close this out with my official answer here because truth is, I don't know for sure. But that's how it comes off to me, is that it does look like, based on 5116 B2, that they do in fact have to pay spot price for silver and they can't pay more. So there we go, guys. Another comment video in the books. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and learned a little bit about what I think about this topic. Again, I'm not saying that I'm smarter than any of you, which is why I leave a couple of these open, in my opinion, for you to let me know if I'm wrong or if you disagree. Just leave a comment down below. I would love to know. Who knows? Maybe your comment will make it into the next one of these. Other than that, I do want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me spread the video around to others. And we will see you in the very next video. Thank you so much for watching.